making my version of the sausage, potato, and kale soup, Zuppa Toscana from Olive Garden. I have browned a pound of ground sausage, mild ground sausage, so that's why it looks a little red, with a finely chopped onion. So I just skipped ahead the steps from showing you before it was cooked. While your sausage browns, you want to cut up your potatoes as finely as possible. I used 5 potatoes, 5 golden potatoes. You can use the red potatoes as well, but I prefer the whites. And I had a pot of boiling water going. So now that it boiled, I'm going to throw my potatoes in, and I'm only going to partially cook them for about 5 to 8 minutes. You don't want to overcook them in this process because we're going to throw them back in the pot with more broth. Should also tear up your kale. The kale is up to you on how much you want to put in it. I bought a bundle or a bunch of kale, and I'm using the entire thing because I do like kale. Once your sausage has completely cooked down and it's brown, you want to strain it, and you want the least amount of oil, and even though it's natural oils, you still don't want your soup to be fatty. And I left mine in bigger chunks because I want something hearty, and with this weather we're having right now, I want something comforting, some comforting food. And this doesn't even require any seasoning because the meat's already seasoned. We will be using a 3 cups of milk. This is 2.5 cups, but I have a little bit more milk there. You can use any kind of milk you like. Original recipe calls for whole milk. I don't do whole milk. We will also need 4 cups of chicken broth. I found unsalted chicken broth, or you can buy the low sodium as well. I prefer unsalted or low sodium just because I can control the amount of salt I put into my soup. And we will also need a splash of heavy cream. To make it a little creamy, you're gonna need maybe about half a cup. Okay, we're gonna check on our potatoes. You want them to be semi-fork tender, so like you can poke them and it goes through, but you can see that little ring that it's still kind of uncooked in the middle. We're gonna leave them maybe another 2 minutes, and then we will strain them and we will continue the cooking process. Okay, in the same pot that you brown your sausage and onions, turn it back on. Make sure you have already drained out the oil that was in that pot from browning it, because we don't want the extra fat. We're going to return the sausage and onions to it. We're going to add our chicken broth. And our 3 cups of milk. Second here. So since I used mildly spiced sausage, my broth is going to be a little orangey. You could use breakfast sausage instead, and you will not get this color. Okay, we're going to add half a teaspoon of oregano. This is fresh oregano from my parents' backyard. So we dried it out, and it's, I guess you can say it's organic oregano. We're going to add half a teaspoon of oregano in there. And we're going to add half a teaspoon of pepper. Pepper's to taste, so half a teaspoon is my go-to first. And we're going to add a full teaspoon of salt, since our broth is not salted. If you're using low sodium salt, let it simmer and then taste for salt. So we're gonna give it a stir, and we're gonna let it simmer for about 20 to 30 minutes. All right, I've left this simmering for 30 minutes. I'm going to just give it a quick stir to incorporate everything in. I forgot to mention, you can also add chili pepper flakes when you add the seasoning and everything else into it. However, my sausage was already spiced and it had chili pepper flakes. So I did not add any extras. So I'm going to add, sorry, it's kind of hard to record and do everything at the same time. I'm adding my potatoes in. You want to add them slowly. You don't want them splashing. You don't want to burn yourself. Remember, it's hot. It's soup. We're going to add these in. And add the rest. Give it a quick stir to incorporate. You don't want to break them up too much right now. Okay, we gave it a stir. I am gonna add a splash of heavy cream just to make it a little creamier. I had said earlier half a cup. That's too much. You want to add like a third, or just literally like maybe 2 tablespoons, just to give it a little body to the soup. We're gonna let this simmer. Actually, we're gonna bring it up to a boil for about 10 minutes, and that will cook the rest of the potatoes through. And at that point, we will add our kale. Okay, I'm over here giving you wrong info. We're gonna add our kale in at this point as well, because we want to cook the kale. We don't want raw kale in our soup, right? It looks like it's a lot. Trust me, it's not. It will wilt down, and it will mix into your soup later. So we're just gonna keep pushing it down so that it actually soaks in, and we will leave it simmering for 10 minutes. And see, we're gonna just mix it in. We want to get that bright green color on the kale, so we're gonna just let it be now.